Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining Kristen and I today live. I'm Brittany Gaffney, and Kristen Spinella will be introducing herself in just a few. So today we're here for digital badging. We're going to get into all of the good stuff, right? What is digital badging and how can we track it? All of that within this slide and live webinar today. The slideshow that we're going to be working off of will be available for you. We're going to email it out, and it should also be in the description of this webinar if you click the show more in the description. If you don't see it, no big deal. We'll get it to you via email on my learning plan. And just as a reminder, make sure to say hello to us in the chat so we can mark you down as attendance, and use the chat feature for any questions that you may have as we proceed today. So just a few of the topics we'll be covering in this hour. So we'll be talking about what is digital badging, how can students earn badges, so what does that look like, how can they, what are they for, how can they earn them, how can I as the teacher make badges, so we can add a little bit of creativity to these. How can I track badges? So we're kind of talking about accountability here and knowing, students' achievements. And then most importantly, we want to talk about how students can show off their badges and how we can get those badges to the students, right? Because kind of the whole idea is celebrating the students' achievements. So we're going to head it over to Kristen, and she's going to talk about what is digital badging. Hey, Kristen, I think you're muted.
Thank you, Brittany. Let me try that again. Okay, so as I was saying, digital badges are a system that allows teachers to appreciate students for their achievements in a digital format. Okay, so they're meant to recognize achievements both academically and behaviorally. So as I said, they can be related to anything, including learning, positive behavior, effort, skills, attendance, anything that you kind of want to touch on with the digital badges. They're just meant there to celebrate those achievements. Okay, they are also great for students that are currently struggling to recognize the efforts that they're making. So it doesn't necessarily need to mean that they're making these huge gains, but even those small gains and those small movement forward that students are making, we're helping to recognize that and keeping students motivated. All right. They can also be great for setting learning goals or standards. So you might have a learning goal or a standard that you want your students to meet by the end of the month or by the end of the marking period. These badges can be used to kind of motivate students to hit that goal. And what's great about them is they can be customized, so each student can have a different goal or a different learning standard that they're working towards to earn that badge. All right. It's also a great way to show that appreciation of individual strengths. So we know students learn in different ways. We know that they can showcase learning in different ways. So let's celebrate that. Let's give them badges that take that into account and really celebrate the individuals in front of us. All right. It's also a great alternative to numerical grades. So we know that not every student is going to respond well to earning something numerical because that might not hold as much weight for them. Whereas the badges gives them something that they can see and they can showcase and be proud of. So it's a great alternative. All right. It can also be a great alternative to summative assessments. So instead of giving a student a test, you could give them a task to complete to earn a badge. And then they're still showing you that they've understood that skill or that learning for that unit, but they're doing it in a different way other than sitting down with a paper pencil test. All right, so Brittany's now going to talk to you about how students can earn their digital badges.
You bet. So there are a few ways that students can earn badges, and what we're sharing with you today is definitely not, the limit. But we wanted to show you kind of two concrete ways that you can hopefully walk away with and use if you're interested in digital badging. So one way that students can earn badges is by you creating any type of assignment in Google Classroom, right? So any assignment that you give them could earn them a badge, right? So one way you could do that is heading to your Google Classroom, and under my classwork tab, right, where everything is organized nice and neatly, you can use maybe like a little emoji to show students what assignments they'll earn a badge with. So you'll notice here under some of the assignments, I have these little medallions to show them that when they complete those assignments, they will earn a badge. So really just as easy as that, right? Once you check their work and make sure it all makes sense and that they did something correctly, they can earn a badge right then and there. And I like using those emoji features just as a really quick and easy check-in. Another quick way that you can have students earn badges is just doing a simple Google form. So I have kind of like a little GIF, if you will, of a Google form that I created that students can complete. And once you see that it's completed and you review their answers, you can then give them a badge. And I like this one especially because within this Google form, I embedded a video for students to watch. I stuck some questions in there for them to answer. And then, when we talk about evidence of badges, right, why should students earn this badge? What are they doing, right, really well that we can celebrate with a badge? So I included in this Google form a type of students to add a file. So students will see this and they can upload something from their drive or their personal device. So for instance, I wanted students to show me a picture of their Chromebook in a safe place while they're not working with it. So in other words, it shouldn't be wide open, hanging out on their bed while their dog's, jumping everywhere. It shouldn't be on the floor where their baby sister can, play Hulk smash on top of it, right? We should have it in a safe place. So a picture of this is great for that social emotional, and we have, a place where they can really show their learning. And what I did to create that upload feature is let me put this in edit mode. And when I scroll down, it's just a type of question. So when we add a new question in a Google form, we can go to file upload. So instead of making a short answer or a multiple choice, all that, you can choose file upload. And then when we go to preview, so you can see what the students will see, it looks just like that for them to add a file. So using those emojis or even just a simple Google form as an assignment itself are two ways that, really simple ways that students can earn those badges, just general assignments that you're giving them. So now we're going to head over to Kristen, and she's going to show you how to make the badges, right? This is great, they're cool, but how can we make them?
All right, thanks, Brittany. So one way that we can, and we're going to talk to you about a couple different ways that you can make your badges, but I want to showcase Google Drawings. So right here we have some step-by-step directions, but I'm actually going to take you live into Google Drawings so we can take a look at how we can go about making these badges. So the first thing that I did to create the badges that you saw earlier in the slide deck was I started with a shape. So you're going to insert a shape here from your shape tool. And it really can be any shape that you want. So these are more of your basic shapes. some of the call outs are fun. So maybe I want to do this shape with 12 pointed star. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Okay, and what's nice about the shapes is you can actually fill in the colors. So I'm going to choose a fill color, and I'm going to make this one pink, and I'll make the borders black with a little bit of a thicker line. Okay, so now I have my shape. One thing I want to mention too is I like to move my shapes into the upper left-hand corner. That allows me to take the right-hand corner and just drag it in and get rid of all of that extra space there. All right, so now that I have my shape created, I can add a title to my badge. Now this is completely optional, so please don't feel like you have to do this. All right, I like to add titles just so that my students know why they've earned what they have. So I'm going to use the call out option, and I'm going to use one of these banners here. Okay. And I'm just going to move this over a little bit, make it a little bit wider. And this is completely optional, again, not necessary. Okay. And maybe I want to celebrate the fact that my students have mastered all of their sight words. Okay. So maybe I want to say sight word expertise. Okay. Change the font. Not expertise. I want to make it expert. There we go. Okay. Just going to center it. That's way too big. And the nice thing about this is you really can make it what your class is interested in. So, you know, you can, if you have certain students that like certain colors and they really need some extra motivation towards these badges, you really can customize the badges for that. Okay, so I'm going to fill in this shape now in a different color. And let's do this one in gray. All right, now what I can do is I can add an image to my badge. And this is great for your littles. So your older students might not necessarily need the images. The words might suffice. You kind of base it on your students. But for the littles, they might not be able to read that they're a sight word expert. So by providing them some kind of image that goes along with the badge, it kind of helps remind them of why they've earned the badge and what they've done and what to kind of keep them proud of their accomplishments. So I'm going to go to the insert image, and you have a couple of different images selections that you can choose from. So you can choose to upload an image from your computer. So maybe you have a screenshot or some kind of image on your computer. Search the web, which is what I'm going to be using today. Your Google Drive, your Google Photos through a URL, or through your camera. So your camera would use your camera on your device to actually take a photo right then and there. All right. Again, I'm going to search the web for mine, and I'm just going to say word clip art PNG. Now, if you're looking for images, it's nice to look for this PNG because they're going to give you more images than they are, you know, so it'll be more of the clip art images that you might be looking for. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to do two things at once. So I'm going to choose this little word cloud here, and I'm just going to put this in because this is kind of fun. It's got some of those basic sight words in there. All right. Okay. So there's my badge. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a title. So I want to title this sight word expert, okay? And to share it, which we're going to talk about how you can share, but to make it so that it's easy to share, I want to download this as a PNG. So I'm going to do File, Download, and I'm going to download this as a PNG. Now, I do have the option to download this as a JPEG, but please keep in mind, if you download it as a JPEG, the background behind the badge itself will be white. By downloading this as a PNG, you're going to get a transparent background. So what's great about Google Drawings is you can kind of see that checkerboard background. That allows for a transparent background. So that means when I overlay this badge on something, whatever is behind it still comes through. All right. And when we get into how we're displaying badges, that'll be nice because if students are choosing to make digital photo books or put it on a slide or a site, whatever's behind it will still come through. So I like the PNG version better to keep that transparent background. Okay, so that's just a quick overview as to how you can build your slide. Again, it's completely customizable to you and to your students, but Brittany's going to give you an overview of another way that you can go about building your own Google badge.
Okay. So another way that you can make a digital badge is by using your Bitmoji. So we know that those are really fun, right? They kind of create that social emotional connection, and they're just really great. The creativity is kind of already done for us, and we can just add even more pizzazz. So in the Google slide that we're presenting, the directions will be available to you to download the Google Chrome extension for the Bitmojis to get them right on your computer really easily. You will need an account first, and you'll make that account, if you choose to make one, on your cell phone, on your mobile device. And then you'll log into that extension using that same login information. So all of that will be there. But I did link, when you're ready, when your account is made, if you choose to make one, the Google Chrome extension, I linked that right there for you to be able to download. So let me just live drive here. So we're going to live for a second in the same screen that Kristen was just in, Google Drawing. So we can create and use Bitmojis in Google Drawings if we choose. So your Bitmoji extension, once it is downloaded, will live right up here next to your URL. So you'll see all of your Bitmojis here, some of them school appropriate, some of them not. So you can kind of make that choice as you go. Now, the cool thing that is a little bit newer to Bitmoji is I can type anything into this search box. So let's say I want to say, way to go, which is probably, you know, a pre-made one already. But whatever I type in this box will automatically show up on top or around my Bitmoji. Now, some of them are weird, right? We probably won't be using the scorpion way to go, right? But this one is kind of nice to use in school. So we can kind of look through those. But this is really cool for, you know, specific things to your class. So there isn't one that says digital citizen, right? But we could make one. Okay. And you can kind of choose which one is, you know, the best for you. Now, once you have the extension, you can simply click and drag right into a Google Drawing or a Google Slide, really wherever. And now you have your badge, okay, right in Google Slides. You also have an option to, if I type it in again, and notice there's one that's different each and every time, but this one's kind of fun. You can right click and you can save image as. So if you wanted to download this picture to your computer, you could. Or if you wanted to copy the image somewhere, you could do the same as well. So this is just like a copy, and you could go anywhere and paste, and it will show up right then and there. So these are also especially great by just giving feedback in general. So if you're in a student's Google Doc and they did something really cool, you could insert this Bitmoji right inside of that place. But you could also copy and paste these anywhere. And you'll see the different ways and different you know, modes that we can copy and paste them where they can go. Now, you'll also notice, let's say I really, really loved my little image here of my face with the heart muscles. See how the digital citizen is kind of in a really awesome place. So I can actually get rid of that. So if you find a Bitmoji that you really like, but you're not in love with the words above it, depending on the setup, I can double click and crop the image and just kind of get rid of that top piece. And what Kristen had showed, right, making a text box, I can put whatever I want there for the students. Okay, let's say, fact master. Oops. Okay. And that can be my new digital sticker. So it's really nice to have the extension right there because you can use it in so many different ways by just dragging, right, wherever I want this Bitmoji to go. I can also right click and copy. So it saves to your clipboard and you can paste it anywhere. Or I can also download this to my computer. So Bitmojis are really, really awesome for kind of even making it even more personalized. And we're gonna stick with me and I'm gonna talk about how to track badges. So once you've made them, once you have created a Google Classroom assignment or a Google form where students can show, right, that they've earned this badge, we as teachers want to keep track of them, right? We want to know how they're doing. So one way to track is using a Google slide. So you can see just by this image, I have some names here. I have badges that I've made, and you can see right off the bat that Brittany is not doing so hot on her badges, right? There's only one that's nicely colored in, okay? And the rest are all grayed out. So this is a really cool way to track student badges. And the other way is using a Google Sheet. And both of these, like I said, will be clickable links for you and templates you can take for yourself. But I'll show you really quickly how both work in live time. So I'm going to take us to our Google slide here. When you make a copy of this teacher badge tracker, I've included instructions on how to create your own as well. So we'll kind of go through it, but the written instructions are included in this copy. So all this is a table, okay? And I've just made it some nice pretty colors. I've typed in the names and all of the assignments that will earn badges, right? So maybe I pulled my assignments, remember we talked about in our Google Classroom, right? So that's a good way to keep track of your assignments that earn them. And then I pulled in my images of my badges by going to Insert, Image from my drive. And the cool part about this is if you're recently making a ton of badges, they'll show up. But also since we filtered for just images, they'll all show up right here. So let me just do something quick on the fly. I'm going to insert a new table. Where am I going? Yeah, okay. And I'm going to make it, the whole width of my screen. So I have a nice big, space. So I have name, badge. You get the idea, right? So now I want to pull in the images. So everyone wants to have fantastic facts. So I'm going to size it up. And this other student needs to have it as well. So I can do a Control Command D to duplicate and just drag it. Okay, so that way everyone has the badge. And then everyone has the possibility to earn our digital citizenship badge. So duplicate, click and drag, click and drag. Okay, so all I'm doing is dragging and dropping because everyone has the opportunity to earn these badges. It's just whether, they choose to or not. So I want to make sure they're all in there. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to do is, do you see how they're all grayed out except for the ones that they earned? So obviously, if I'm starting fresh, we want them all to be grayed out. So once you have all of your images out there, you can click on one and hold down your Shift key and keep clicking to highlight all of your images. This will save time. Go to Format Options, Recolor, this is color right now. So we want to choose like any gray scale option. So I'm going to choose this first one here. So it turns them black and white. And then the last thing, we're going to go to adjustments. And we're going to turn down the transparency. So that way they're just a little bit more see-through, right? So you're going to have a table full of these, okay? Now you could have also done this backwards, right? Done them all transparent first and then duplicated, right? So it's nice and easy. So that way everybody has one. And then as students earn badges, we want to make them colorful. So let's say Susie and Tommy and Johnny all earned those badges, right? I went through the assignments, they all earned them. So I did that same shift click to highlight my 3. And I'm going to go back to where it says recolor, and I'm going to choose no recolor. So it gets them back to their original. And I'm going to turn the transparency back to 0. And now those are highlighted. And all of those steps are right in here. So don't worry about having to write them down now. I tried to kind of spell those out. But you can choose to kind of use the template. Again, just a table, names, get those images all in there, and run with it. And I know maybe some of you are thinking like, oh my gosh, that kind of takes some time. But remember, we want these badges to be special. So should all of your assignments have a badge? No, right? You want to be kind of picky and choosy. So maybe these are just the badges for the month. And maybe you make them your most important assignments, right? Those assignments that like you need the students to do to really show their learning, or the ones that you're most proud of, right? So you don't want to have a million badges, right? We want to keep them special and sacred. So this may seem like a little bit of time now, but not every assignment should have a badge. Just something to think about. Now, the other way that's a little less pretty, but still fun, is in a Google Sheet. So this is a template too. You'll get your own copy. So this is exactly what will happen when you click on it. And this is actually from flippity.net. Our other colleague and teammate talks about it all the time. They have even more templates galore. But you'll kind of get this template right by clicking the link. So across the top is the badge URL. So you get that by copying the share link. And Kristen's actually going to talk about that in a few minutes, about how to get those links. So basically, you'll set this up as the teacher. So here's my link to my badge. So I can open that right away and copy it for a student. Just another way to organize your badges. The badge information. And then I linked the class assignment. So if I click this right here as the teacher, I can easily go in and say, okay, let's see, I got to check my digital citizenship today. Who earned that badge? So I can click this link here and it will take me to that digital citizenship assignment. So I can really easily see who has turned it in and who has not, and who earns the badge and who does not. And in order to get that link for the assignment, if I am in my classwork and I want to copy a link for an assignment that takes them directly there, I'm going to click the 3 dots next to the assignment and copy link. And just pop it right in that box there. So again, this is for you as the teacher to track badges. So it just makes it really simple, right, to have your link to the badge that you made. So, and like I said, Kristen's going to talk about where and how to get that link and where to put it a little bit more in a second. So your badge is right there, and then you can link to your Google Classroom assignment, and then the students' names, you can just X off as they earn it. And then Kristen will talk about how to kind of get those badges out to the students. Kristen, over to you.
All right. So we're going to look at a couple of different ways that you can share your badges with your students. The first is going to be through a Google Classroom. So I'm going to take you into our Google Classroom that we have developed for this webinar. Okay, so the first way you can do this is through your classwork tab. So you're going to go to classwork and you're going to click this create button, and you're actually going to create material. okay? And under your material where it says title, you're going to give a title for your name or for your badge. So maybe this badge I want to do active participation, okay? And you can put a description there if you would like. Now what you're going to do is you're going to add. Now I have not yet saved my badge, or I'm sorry, this badge is saved to my Google Drive. I apologize. It was the one I created earlier, and I'll show you how you can kind of upload that in a moment. So I'm going to choose my Google Drive. And if it's not saved under my recents, because I've not worked on it, here it is. Okay, my active listener. So I mistitled that. But I'm going to choose the active listener badge. And when I'm looking at them, I have two saved here. This one on the right is from my Google Drawings. And this one is my PNG with the transparent background. I want to share the PNG. Now, if I share my Google Drawings with my students, I kind of leave it up to the ability for my students to be able to edit that badge. And I don't want that. I want them just to have it as the format that I've already put it into. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click Insert. So now it's set. All right, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to choose what class I want to assign that badge. What's great about this is if you have multiple students in multiple classes that are earning badges, you can just select those classes and assign the badges right through Classroom. So it's a huge time saver. All right, I'm just doing it for one class. And then I would select what students I have earned that badge. So maybe Brittany is the only student that has earned that badge right now. So I'm going to assign it to Brittany. And I'm going to put it under my topic, Your Badges. So we have created a separate topic within our classroom so our students know if they have earned a badge that they need to look under that topic for that classwork. Now this again is optional. It's on how you choose to structure your course, but we felt that it might be beneficial so our students weren't having to look in multiple locations to just have all of their badges housed in one place. Okay, so then I'm going to post this. So now when Brittany comes into the classroom, she is going to see her badge here, active participation. So she can click on it and then she'll be able to download that PNG. Okay, so that is one way that you can share out badges with your students. Let's take a look at a couple of other examples. Another way is through email. So if you're choosing to create this through email, we're assuming most schools are using Gmail because we're talking about Google and, you know, with all that's happened, I know a lot of schools are starting to open up email. You may have a different email platform, but really the steps are going to be the same. So you're going to generate a new email and then you will include that badge as an attachment. So let me show you what that's going to look like through Gmail. All right, so I'm gonna pull up the screen here. Let me just get it a little bit bigger for you. Okay, mail.google.com. And I'm gonna compose a new message. And down here, I'm gonna select the student or students that I wanna send my badge to. So I'm gonna send it to Brittany. And I'm going to say your new badge. And I can say, congratulations, you have earned a new badge. Okay. Now what I can do is I can attach that badge. So if I was choosing to take the badge that I had created earlier and I downloaded it, I can attach those files through this paperclip icon right here and it's saved to my downloads. Now I can also choose my badges from my Google Drive. So I can choose my drive and then I can select the folder with just my badges and attach it in that manner. Okay, so that's another option you have. Another way you can do this is through your Google Drive. So let's go ahead into Google Drive. And I will show you what that's going to look like. And Brittany and I have created some digital badges that we will be sharing out with you. So as I said in the chat, they're free to feel to use them as they are, make a copy, edit them so they better fit your students. We just want to give you something to start with. Okay, so if I wanted to look at my academic achievements, and actually I wanted to go back for just one moment. So you'll notice that Brittany and I have chosen to structure our folder so that each type of badge is under its own subcategory. That's a completely personal option. But if you're looking to create badges for different reasons, so we have academic, we have attendance and participation, we have positive reinforcement, it kind of helps us to find what it is that we're looking for in a little bit easier of a manner. So just something to keep in mind as you're creating your badges in terms of organization. So let's take a look at our academic achievements. And maybe Brittany has mastered all of her math facts, okay? And I want to share that badge out with her. So again, you'll notice I have two different types of badges. I have this one with the Google Drawing logo, and I have this one with the image logo. I want to share the image one. So I'm going to actually right-click on this. And the first thing I need to do is I need to make sure that my students can access this badge. And to do that, I need to look at my share settings. So right now it is set to anyone in the MORIC can access this badge. Now, most schools have it set as a default that anyone within your domain can access that badge. So that shouldn't be a problem if you're just sharing with students because they're going to be under the same domain. Something that you want to keep in mind, though, is if you're sharing outside of your domain, so if you want to share with families or maybe with a colleague in a different district, you want to check these share settings. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this drop down next to MORIC, and I'm going to select anyone with the link. And that's going to make it so that anybody I share this link with can access this badge, okay? And I want to make sure that it's set to viewer because I personally don't want anyone changing my badges. I want them to be able to view them, but I don't want them to be able to make any changes. So I'm going to keep this on viewer. Now, if you're sharing it with a colleague and you want them to be able to make changes, you can make this as an editor, okay? But once you have your share settings set, you can copy this link, all right? And then you can share that link with your students, either in an email in your Google Classroom. Another way you could do this is you could right-click on your badge again. You can click Share. And then you can type in your student's email address, okay? And then that will appear in their Google Drive. So if I was sharing with Brittany, I could select her name. I can choose to notify her, which means she will get an email letting her know that she has the new badge, and I can give her a message, congratulations, okay? And then I can send it to her, and she, again, it will be in her shared with me in her Google Drive. All right, let's look at one other option. Okay. I'm sorry. So that's sharing. Let's talk about how students can show off their badges. So students can show off their badges, again, in a couple of different ways. The first way that I want to show you is through the email signature. So let's go back into our Gmail. And I'm getting to Gmail by going to mail.google.com. And I'm going to go to my settings icon up here in the right-hand corner. And I'm going to select See All Settings. Okay. And this is going to bring me into my customization of my Gmail account. And again, this is for students. So they would go to their settings icon and then they would be brought into this page that's going to give them more options to customize. So I'm going to scroll down until I see the word signature. And you will see that here. Okay, and you can see that I've already created one kind of as a demo for this, but let's take a look at it. So your students will click Create New, and they will give it a signature name. So I'm just going to label this Digital Badge and hit Create. Okay. And now they can type in their signature. So maybe they want to put their name in and maybe what grade they're in and maybe their teacher. Okay. Now what they can do is they can insert images of their badge or badges, depending on kind of the restrictions you set, underneath their signatures. To do that, they can click this insert image icon here, and they have a couple of different options. So they can choose it from their drive, they can choose it from their computer, or they can choose it from a URL. So if you share that shareable link, they could actually use that as their URL here. Okay, I'm gonna upload from my computer, and I'm gonna take that badge that I created earlier. Actually, I'll just pick this one so we're not scrolling through all of them. And we're gonna make sure we're using the PNG file so we have that transparent background. Okay, I've selected that. And now you'll see that my badge is here. Now that's really a large picture. I wanna kind of make that much smaller. So here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to click on the image itself, and you'll notice I have an option to resize. So I'm going to choose this small. And now that badge is much easier seen underneath my signature. But you'll notice that if I start getting a lot of badges, that can get a little cluttered. So that's what I was referring to earlier, where you may just want to set limits on how many badges your students are incorporating. So now I'm going to save those changes. And when I go to compose a new email, at the bottom, I'm going to click this little pen icon that's going to allow me to insert a signature. I'll choose the signature that I want. And now that's there for anyone that I might be emailing with. So that's a fun way for students to show off badges and to be proud of their accomplishments. Let's take a look at a couple of other examples. Okay. So another fun idea we thought of, especially for your littles, is a digital sticker book. And this can be done either in an individual manner or it can be done as a whole class. And what this is it's just a slide deck. So in the slide deck that we're sharing out with you, you will have these clickable links. You will be asked to make a copy. And the way that I've set this up is that this is a class sticker book. Okay, so this would be housed somewhere where your students could easily access this. So maybe it's on a class website, maybe it's in your Google Classroom, wherever it's easily accessible for your students to be able to view. And you would kind of be the curator of this, so you would insert the stickers. It would really just be for your students to view. But again, keep in mind, you could make additional copies for each student, and they could each have their own sticker book. Okay, so what I've done is set up this template so that you would enter your class name, and then each student would have a page. And I've kind of given you two different templates to choose from. So you could have 3 badges per page, or you could have 6 badges per page. So you as a teacher would then just go in, you would erase this text box here, you would insert an image, and I'm going to select it from my Google Drive. And again, I already have that folder created, so it's easy to find those badges. Well, this brought me to my personal account. Why did it bring me there? Give me one moment. I apologize. Okay. I don't know why it did that. Let's go back. So let me go to my Drive on my Moric account. I don't know why it brought me to my personal account. Okay. Let's search. Oh my goodness, technology is not my friend right now. Thank you for bearing with me. Sticker book. No, okay, well, all right, well, I guess I can show you my, so what I would do is I would insert the image. I can do it from my computer. I'll do it that way. So I'm gonna upload from computer, just so you can see what it would look like. But you'll have access to that folder with all of your digital stickers inside. So I need to go down to my assets. Okay, and then I'll insert this here and just resize. So now what I can do is I can share this with my students as a viewable link so that they can kind of flip through. And then instead of student 1, maybe I put in that student's name. And what's nice about this is you can also share it with families so that you could, they could easily see what their students have earned. So to share this, I would first start by checking those share settings. And again, if you want to share it with families, you're going to want to change it to anyone with a link, and you're going to want to make sure that they're a viewer. Then what I would do is I would select File, Publish to Web, and I would select the link, and I'm going to set this to every minute, and I'm going to click Publish, give it permission, and I'll copy this link, and then I'll share it out with families, or I'll put it in my Google Classroom or on my website. And what that will do is when my family views this link, it will show it to them in present mode so that they're able to see the photo album, but they're not able to make any changes. So it's an easy way for them to see the class and be proud of what their student has earned. Okay, let's go back. Brittany's now going to talk to you about another format that she has created with digital sticker books.
You bet. So another version of a digital sticker book could be more of a vision board. So much like Kristen's, they could have, just one place where they could stick all of their badges. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the template. And again, you'll get this one too. And you can, of course, mix and match the stickers. Google recently came out with some really awesome stickers as well. So I kind of stole some of those from Google, and we should be seeing those in just a sec. Okay. So this could be something where you see the students see my badges, right? And they could go ahead and pull, and I will log in actually as a student in my Google Classroom. Well, actually the kids can take it. So remember when Kristen gave me a badge, right, for active participation? I could go in, and if I want to show that off, I can take that active listener, I can copy the image by right-clicking, and I can paste it right here on my badge screen. Okay, and so it could kind of be like a smorgasbord of all of your badges. I also gave some instructions that you could pass on to students, depending on how the teacher has given it to you. They could also add the image to their drive. So students may see this icon when they click on it. They can add it to their drive and then go to Insert Image from Drive, and it will pull up their stickers as well, either if they've organized them or if they've been shared, and they can just kind of click and drag. So kind of like a scrapbook type of look, and they can just pop them everywhere. They could also decorate this main page. So I included some extra stickers here that they could decorate with. So just by copying and pasting, they could kind of decorate to make this their own. So just kind of something fun. And a way that you could use this is you could assign it in Google Classroom to them. So once you gave them a template, right, you would start off fresh and clean like this. And you would go into Google Classroom as a teacher. And I created it as a, I called it your badge space. And I made it as make a copy for each student. So I went in, I found create, an assignment. And then I went in and I added that template. So that original student tracker, the one that's blank, and I make sure to make a copy for each student so that each student will get their own. And this is really cool for you to do it in Google Classroom, because then you can go in and see what your students have been up to. So by clicking, you can kind of see if any of your students have been adding badges along the way. So that's just one more kind of template that you can use. You could also use the same background by just copying this slide and kind of doing it like Kristen's to make a whole class worth of badges too. So just kind of more templates, more ideas. These will be for you to mix and match and use how you like. And Kristen's going to talk about another template. We gave you guys lots of ideas on passports and how you can use that.
Yeah, so thank you, Brittany. So another idea we thought of was having students create their own digital passport. So same the idea where it's kind of a slide deck and then students are inserting their stickers kind of as stamps throughout their passports. So when you get your slide deck, this is a clickable link to another template that you can use and a phenomenal website that you can check out. So Slides Media, and I just put this in the chat as well. They have a ton of free templates that you can kind of use to structure your digital sticker books or passports or, you know, bulletin boards, however you want your students showcasing their digital badges. This site can help you out by giving you templates as a foundation so you're not having to start from scratch. But when you come to this site, if you scroll down, you can use this open in Google Slides, or you can download PowerPoint. I'm going to open this in Google Slides. And I'm going to click this Use Template up at the top. And what's going to happen is now I will have a template that I can start. And what I love about this is the students can, again, customize it. So the very first slide in this slide deck is going to be where students could kind of put in their own picture or maybe their own Bitmoji and really customize this passport to be about them. And then they can put in different badges on each slide. And what I love about this too is that under the badge, they can kind of describe why it is they've earned that badge. So they can have the picture, but they can also have a description to say, this is what I've earned and this is why I've earned it. So really taking that ownership of their learning. Okay. And Brittany has one more idea that we're going to share with you before we wrap it up here.
Yes. And before I do that, actually, I saw in the chat about fun fonts. I wanted to mention, I know that there are a ton of fonts out there on like Teacher Pay Teacher and all that stuff, but Google, so before I move on to my next slide, I'm just going to create a blank one for a sec. Google has so many fonts. So if you're up here in your font choices and click more fonts, this is not it. These are just the fonts that you've kind of picked from, but you can choose from all of these different scripts. If you want something to look like handwriting, there are so many different fonts. You'll be here literally for days. So if you're feeling bogged down by Arial and Comic Sans and need to spice up your life, check out Google for their fonts. I'm telling you, they have so many amazing ones. For really anything you need. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're kind of DIYing these as well if you're not working off of templates. So one definitely not final way, because I feel like there are a million different ways, but for the older students, Google Sites might be a really cool way for them to showcase their badges. Almost like a student portfolio, if you will, but of their badges. So students can create their own Google site. And again, they can embed those images that you gave to them and write an explanation. So much like that passport, which might be really awesome for elementary students, and also, you know, up to high school too, Google Sites might be more geared towards those older students because it's a little bit more of an authentic experience, right? Creating a website, right? Designing it, almost like a digital resume, if you will. So I made one in Google Site. And I have my title here, I have my badge, and I explained, just like Kristen did on the passports, right, how I earned this badge. Another thing you could do is have students display, and they could kind of be their own experts. So if you need help writing a lab report, I can help, right, because I earned this badge. So it could be a way where students can show off their awesome skills so they can teach and help their classmates as well. So Google Sites is a really cool place for those older students to work and show off their badges. I'm going to turn it into edit mode for a second, just so you can kind of see the inner working. So I have my image here, and notice you can insert images right here, or insert anything from your drive, text boxes. You could even make pages across the top, so it's kind of like links. So if I wanted to make one just for my math badges, see how it's kind of a new tab up here? So those are pages. So I could have all my math badges, and then I could have all of my ELA badges. Okay? And students can add and work from there. When they're ready to publish, they'll hit publish. This is just because I've made some changes. And then this link option, they'll click copy link, and they can post that link anywhere. They could, as the teacher, they could come into their Google Classroom and share something with their class, like, hey, check out my badges, right? They could share this in an email to their parents, and of course, just have it for themselves. So just kind of another cool way that they can really show off their badges. They can also link it. So if they are in their classwork, let me just in quick as a student. So if I'm in and I want to show my teacher right in my badge space, my Google site, I could add a link right there. So now my teacher, when I turn it in, will see my Google site that I've updated with all of my badges. Okay, so another way that students can really kind of share and showcase their digital badges. Woof. So it's quite the time we've had together, that's for sure. I hope that you enjoyed and have some really awesome takeaways, but we'll hang on. If you have any questions, use chat to answer them, you know, live with our voices, or we'll be typing in the chat. But thank you so much for joining us today. Again, I'm Brittany Gaffney and Kristen Spinella, and these are our email addresses, so feel free to reach out. We'll be sending you this Google slide presentation as well, so you can get all those awesome templates, and let us know if you have any other questions.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. We hope that you found this helpful. If you need any help getting started with badges, feel free to reach out to us, or if you're trying to think of ideas of what could be, you know, badge worthy, you know, just feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to support you any way we can. So thank you, everyone.
Yes, and if you haven't already, we have almost everybody marked down as attendance, but if you didn't type your name in the chat, just go ahead and do that one last time. If you haven't already, we have the majority. And I'm double checking as the thank yous come in. You're welcome. Thank you for being here with us.
Yes, thank you very much.
And feel free, if you have any questions, type them right in the chat, or feel free to email us after.
Thank you. Glad you found them helpful.
Mm-hmm.